Welcome to BW Insights. I am your host, Mark Seifert, and we are live at WATERCON 2025 in Peoria, Illinois. We have an action-packed episode for you today. We have industry leaders, industry experts, YPs, and it is going to be informative, fun, and we're right here at the Baxter Woodman booth in the exhibit hall. Let's get ready. Our first guest today on the podcast is in her 5th year as the executive director of the Illinois section of the American Waterworks Association, and proudly announced on Sunday we have over 1,300 in attendance. Is that correct?
We're over 1,400 now.
We are over 1,400 now. That is impressive. This is now your 5th year coming to WaterCon?
It is.
Largest attendance we've had so far?
It is, actually.
Talk just really quickly about the growth that we've been able to have coming to Peoria.
Sure. So I think Peoria really allowed us to expand some of our offerings and give us some room to grow, right? So the Civic Center not only has additional space for us to be creative with the space, right? We have the new vendor stage, allowing us to have that main stage. So there's lots of room because we know education is critical, right? And that's a big reason why people come to WaterCon. So that has been a lot of fun. There's lots of room for us to grow as we continue to build here. But our exhibit hall this year grew by 20 booths. And that's massive. It allows us, right, to bring in the big trucks.
Absolutely.
So a lot of just different ways for you to engage, I think, with the industry here. And it's just been a lot of fun. Not everybody has been a fan, right, of Peoria, but I think we're showing people the differences and just, sometimes change takes a little bit, but embrace it.
But like you mentioned, education's the main goal of WaterCon. And as I walked through the education room today, there was lines. It was packed. It's so awesome as an operator educator, to see people getting that education here.
Right.
It's really cool. As we move into kind of some of the questions that we have, we're really looking at opportunities and challenges in the water industry. And the first one I have is, in your role as executive director for the section, what do you see as opportunities for anyone in the water industry, whether they be a YP, an XP, but really anyone coming up?
Oh, gosh. I think the opportunities are endless, right? But you have to find your fit. You have to find something that you're interested in, as well as that you're finding value in, right? So there's kind of a give and take there. But in terms of, opportunities is a big word, right? There's so many ways to get involved in this industry. So like you said, if you want to get into operator education, right? You wanted to help people in that aspect, let us know, right? We're going to work with you to get that place to do that. If you're, just really more interested on, the networking piece, there's lots of opportunities.
There's tons of opportunities for that.
There's no piece. If you want to play softball, I got a place for you.
Absolutely.
So I think the neatest thing about this industry is that it's not just one conference. It's not just one main event, right? With the Illinois section, there's 80 events a year. 60% of those are in person. So we see our members, we're hearing from you, learning, what are you looking for? What's the new latest and greatest that we need education on? And then we work to solve that with our members, right? It's not like we're hiring people and bringing them in. We know you all have a wealth of knowledge, so let's tap into that. And unless you let us know that,
it's member-driven.
We don't know that. Right.
It's member-driven, which is awesome.
Right.
Now, you've been here for 5 years, and you've seen some of the challenges that our operators are going through, some of our municipalities are going through, whether it be hiring, whether it be operator education, whether it be lead and copper.
Right.
From your angle as an executive director of the Illinois section, how do you see those challenges, and what do you see as some of the things that we're doing a great job of overcoming, and how are we overcoming some of those challenges?
Yeah, I am constantly impressed, and I don't know that I could do it, of all of the regulatory things that are coming your way and how you're figuring it out, right? You have this, system, whether it's water or wastewater, that you have to deliver to your community, right? There is no, let's stop for a day and figure out what the rules say. That doesn't happen. But you all are taking that information, you're figuring out, you're working with each other, right? Your consultants, your engineers, your in-house team. And that, to me, I'm always really amazed by, because there's just so much, right? And so the Illinois section tries to help you with that. Let's walk you through that, right? Let's do some webinars, that kind of thing. Let's go go talk to the IPA. Tell us your questions, right? We're now building that communication link with them for you, for our members, so that we know who the right person is to go find. So, I mean, and that one to me is huge. I'm constantly amazed. And I think some of the challenges, right, are easy to overcome if we just take a moment and can have the pause to think through it. Right? It's so hard because there's so much happening, but if you've got a great system and you've got a great team, try to find some time for you to really just think about the strategy, right, of how you're going to move that team forward. And I know personally, I even have that hard time, right? And I'm not in the field, right? But I think as leaders, that's something you always have to pause and do is just block it in your calendar.
Right. Now, we're at WaterCon. There's a huge exhibit hall here. There is innovation left and right. Mm-hmm. How have you seen the innovation grow and change in the 5 years that you've been here? And, did you think 5 years ago when you started as executive director that we would have our keynote speaker on AI?
No, absolutely not. No, right? Because the world changed around us so quickly. I started 3 weeks before the pandemic. And so we had to change. We were forced. And honestly, I think in some respects that was really great for a lot of things, right? Because it made us quickly change. Change is really hard. We know that. People, it takes some people some time, but we've really progressed quickly. We have, used tools available to us, right? We've also said that isn't working for us. Let's try and pivot. And I think, our board of trustees all kind of have that collective servant leadership piece to them, as well as that innovation. They wanted, you don't want to serve in a stagnant organization.
No.
I don't know anybody who does.
Change is not a bad thing.
Change is not a bad thing, right. And having the board of trustees who was willing to change, willing to try, and then stand by that, because sometimes change, that first year, right, the first time you do it, it might not work, but by year 2, it might, right? Look at our coloring contest.
Yeah.
Last year we had 4 or 5 entries, and this year we've got 2 walls of it, right?
Yeah,
And they're
sitting here
amazing.
looking at the coloring contest, it is really impressive to see that kids around the state getting just getting into water. And back in the day, a coloring contest maybe would have went to the newspaper or whatever, but to have kids actually doing this for a water program, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, you've had the opportunity. You've now been here 72 hours, or probably, right around there. You've walked up and down every aisle. You've been in multiple classrooms. What's something that you've seen here at WaterCon that just makes you proud to be part of this industry?
Oh, wow. I mean, I am always proud, and I think it's I'm a mom first, right? And when I took this job, I didn't have a background in water. And so the fact that when I turn on my faucet, I know so much more about where that water is coming from is amazing. And to be around those people that make it happen, right? So when I see someone from my own village, I say, hey, thanks. And they look at me really funny, like, I didn't even know you lived in our town, right? Or whatever. But I think it's just that piece of it, right? People don't come here to be angry. They come here to learn and to educate and to do better. And that's motivating, I think, for all of us. And so I think as long as we're collectively, working toward the greater good, and we are, that's number one, what this industry does, right? And kind of have that energy, that's what I'm always excited about. And I love watching people make connections. Now it's my 5th year, right? So I know people by name for sure, and I can tell when someone's new, right?
Yeah.
And saying, oh, is this your first time? Like, oh yeah. Well, it's not gonna be your last, right?
No.
And so make the most of it. But it really is just that piece. Everybody's here to make our industry better. Nobody's here for anything else. And so I really appreciate that positive energy.
Well, I really, truly want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day. I know you're running around. I will let you go, but thank you so much, and we're on to our next guest.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Randy, thanks for joining us today on the podcast. If anybody doesn't know Randy, Randy is the Vice President of Innovation and Solutions at M.E. Simpson, has been there 24 and a half years. And every time I talk to somebody with or about Randy, it is my honor and privilege as being an educator with you to tell people that you are one of very few water operators who are also a vendor. And it's awesome to hear that. But thank you for coming here. I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you having me. It was an honor to be asked to be on this. I mean, but you are right. You definitely have a voice for radio.
I appreciate that.
But no, it's yeah. I've been there almost 25 years, and you mentioned the whole operator thing. That's, as you know, those that don't know, Mark and I teach an operator class together, and it's one of the things we always talk about is, it's probably my proudest moment in this industry, that being a vendor, to be able to get my water license, it's just proud, right? So it's one of my favorite things.
What, you travel the country. Every time I talk to you, it's a different state that you're in. You have a pretty good idea of everything going on in the water industry. What are some of the opportunities that we have in the water industry in the next few years?
Well, that is a great question. The opportunities are actually endless. It's the technology that's out there. A lot of people don't even know a lot of it. Okay, so there's so many different avenues to go to. Unfortunately, here in the U.S., we're behind. We're behind other countries. We have started participating in industry leaders outside of Germany, and the technology they have over there will blow your mind. I mean, I'll just give you one example because of time, is they have this company created a live working program that will map out your system. Okay, so when the system is mapped, it'll do all the flows of the whole system, water, wastewater, doesn't matter. And as you isolate different valves, it'll actually change the flow on the maps and give you the flow rates instantly.
That's awesome. That's cool technology. You're right. We don't have that here, but it's exciting to hear that that's a possibility, and it will be coming soon.
It will be. And one of the things I love about what I do as a company is I interact with these companies that have this technology, and they want to work with us, and they want to bring it over here. I just have to ask them certain parameters on, does it do this, does it do that? I told them once it'll integrate with a GIS to call me back.
Yeah.
Because no one wants a separate program now to look at something else.
Right.
People want minimalized things, and that is part of it. But there's so many technologies we don't even know about.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday we heard a speech about AI and that coming in, and there's just so many things that are on the horizon. They're almost here. But as we talk about our industry, whether it be regulatory or technology, what are some of these challenges that you see that over the next few years that we're going to have to overcome and really get through?
Well, if you're talking utility side, their challenges is just what we all know, and it's not going to go away, is money. Their biggest challenge is money and aging infrastructure. They can't keep up with what's out there. We have to make a change in this country to figure out how, right? I don't have the answer. I don't know, is it federal funding? But the cost of everything has gone through the roof. I mean, a mile of pipe is about $1.7 million for a mile of pipe. You can't keep up.
No.
These towns that are large, I mean, you go into the cities that, have 200 plus miles of pipe, I don't know how they're ever going to keep up, right? The challenge is just money, right?
Yeah.
You can do anything if you have the money, but how do you get it, right? And you're going to pass it on to your residents? They can't afford it. All their costs.
Eventually, it's got to stop.
Eventually, it has to stop. There has to be somebody needs to come up with a better solution on how to get this infrastructure up and running better, or if not, things are just going to keep degrading. And it's the unfortunate part is it's not the utilities members that are there now. It's not the employees that are there now.
No.
They're the ones who want to do it. It was unfortunately the older generation.
And trying to save money.
Save money, didn't want to do it. That's kind of where it came from.
Right.
Was they just, or hey, I'm going to retire in 5 years. And unfortunately, that's a reality.
And to something you brought up, it's that we just see not that many people getting into public works, getting into utilities, getting their operator's license. We see it. It's just that there's not as many people as 20 years ago wanting to do this. So that we have to find a way to get people to want to do it and bring costs down.
Yeah, we got to get the younger people involved more, right? And I think what's fortunate, like your group, your company, and our company are very big into that. We do a lot of job fairs, high school fairs, because we want people to know, right, what the career that is in this industry that you can be, no matter if you just want a high school education or if you want to become a doctorate, right? Yeah. You can be part of this.
Absolutely.
We just have to get these kids to understand that it can be financially beneficial to be involved, and those people that want to. I think we're starting to see an uptick. I really do see a lot of young kids at this conference. I've seen a lot of people asking. The last job fair I did, we had a lot of questions. Hopefully we're seeing an uptick.
Hopefully. It'd be awesome to see some of these young kids and then stay in the business for 35 years.
Right. But one of the other challenges, though, that these utilities are having is the knowledge base of being filtered down to the next guy. Mm-hmm. I talk to a lot of retired guys, and I always say, what's your biggest regret? And they always tell me, almost to the T, they all say, I wish I would have trained the guys behind me better.
It's a sad state, but, with your title of Vice President of Innovation and Solutions, I think it'd be a disservice not to ask you this question is, how do you anticipate innovation shaping our industry?
Well, the innovation is what is key to all of this. But we have to stop the mindset of, well, we've always done it like this.
Right.
That is our biggest challenge in this industry. On how many new inventions, technologies, different ways of doing things to get better results. People don't want to, because I hear all the time, well, we've done it like this for 25 years.
Doesn't mean it was right for 25 years.
Doesn't mean it was right. But, oh, wait, this is going to do this? Oh, that's going to make more work on me. We have to stop that mindset too, right? Because in the end, it's just going to be bad for your community.
Right.
The technology is there. But there's a lot here in the U.S. There's more to come, though. Like we already talked about that.
Yeah.
It's the technology, the mindset is killing me. That is the hardest part about this, is I get tired of hearing, well, that's not how we've done it. Until that changes, until we start getting some younger, innovative leaders,
right,
some of this stuff's not going to change. But it's not until the future. And then, unfortunately, they may not have the funding to do some of the things they need.
They're going to be picking, do we innovate or do we replace water main?
Exactly.
Walking around, this is day 2 of the conference.
Day 2 already, huh?
Yeah.
Oh.
Over 1,300 people here, tons of vendors. What's something that you've seen that has just made you proud to be part of this industry that you've seen this couple days at WaterCon?
Well, I mean, there's a lot, right? The one thing I love about this industry, or even this conference, is everybody that's here has the same goal. They want to help somebody. Mm-hmm. There's no competition. The people that you compete with, they don't even look at it like that, right? Some of the people that are our competitors in the industry, they come by our booth and they sit there, and I just had a 30-minute conversation with them just on life, right? Mm-hmm. That I think the thing about this industry that I love is that we can all be friends and work together because we all have the same goal in the end, is to provide safe drinking water, right? We all have that. And it doesn't matter if they're hiring this guy or this guy, we still want to help somebody.
Right.
And that's what I love about this industry. But just walking around and seeing the smiles and the interaction and people not afraid to go up and talk to someone. I go to a lot of conferences, and you'll see how many people walk by the booths and they'll kind of turn their heads because they're afraid you're trying to sell them something. But you're not.
No.
You're just trying to interact to see what they're going through, right? Where do you work? What do you do? Oh, that's cool. You just want to talk and learn about people. And in Illinois, we don't see that. People stop by all the time. It doesn't matter who they are, where they're from. And I just think that they understand that we're all here for the same goal.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking time out of your day. I know it's lunchtime, so you might probably get to lunch here pretty soon.
No, I'm good.
You're good.
I got a presentation at 1:30.
Well, good. Thank you for coming on, and on to our next guest.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
Next up, from the village of Oak Park, the senior water operator and proud YP, still in the YP era.
Yes, sir.
Orlando Velasquez. Orlando, you moderated my session earlier today. We worked together a lot, and I will say, having you on, it's really a joy because every time I get to talk to you about a project, about something in the industry, there's always a smile on your face. And I really do appreciate it. I want to let you know that.
I try.
So we're talking about opportunities and challenges today. You've been a water operator.
Yep.
You've grown in your career. Mm-hmm. What are some opportunities that you see as you're down here at WaterCon for young water operators, for people just getting in the industry? How can they continue to grow?
Well, I think it's one of the great things about being at WaterCon is that you realize that, everybody, nobody knows anything really.
Yeah, everybody has the same issues, right?
Yeah.
And that's, talk a little bit about how you came in and you continued to grow.
Yeah, it was easy for me because when I got my water license, I was 18 years old.
Okay, you were young.
Real young, yeah. And right out of high school. And it was easy to ask questions because I'm 18 years old. I could ask any, people expect you to ask questions, you know what I mean?
Right.
So now, not that long later, 26 years old now, so I still don't feel uncomfortable asking questions. And I think now that I'm so used to asking questions, by the day that I'm 70 years old, I'll be asking the same questions, I think.
Well, the nice thing is here, you feel comfortable asking those questions.
Yeah.
No one here at WaterCon, if you're asking a question, is going to look down upon you because we're all trying to do the same thing. And
Right.
Randy Lusk said earlier, we're all trying to provide clean drinking water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Between, worker shortages, retirements, regulatory changes, what are some of the challenges that you see every day that you're having to overcome in the water industry?
It's really it's the unknown, I would say. They come out with these when regulations come out, then there's not much clarity on what the new regulations are going to be. It gets really tough to really be able to plan for anything. It's nice when you, like more recently, this LCRR. There's really not too much guidance from the state level, coming out, which makes it that much more difficult to plan for anything that you want to do. And I mean, some of these changes are, a month, 2 months, 6 months away from compliance states, and
You're having to rush.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
So, being in Oak Park, you're running the water system. You obviously I know you have an electrical background.
Mm-hmm.
So between SCADA, new advances in technology,
Right.
what kind of innovation have you seen in the last few years that really is starting to shape the water industry?
I think there's the amount of resources that are out there. I mean, people, we're not reinventing the wheel, anymore. I was talking to one of the guys yesterday. He got his water license in 1980, and that was just a few years after the Clean Drinking Water Act was established. And
Right.
there's not a lot of standards back in the day, whereas now you have all these resources and things that you can go to help.
So it's not more about how to memorize stuff. It's about know where to find the
Where to
information.
find it, yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
that's huge in our industry is, having the ability to say, I know I have this issue. Somebody down the street has the same issue, or the book knows. So there's always, like you're saying, that issue out there.
Mm-hmm.
I've asked how many times have you come down to WaterCon?
It's my third time.
Third time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you're still young and new at it.
Yeah.
What's something you've seen here, walking around the exhibit hall, being in a classroom, that's really made you proud to be in the water industry?
I would say that it sounds sappy, but it's almost like everybody. It's like a big family almost. It's not as sappy as it sounds, It really is just one big family, and even though if you're from one village or another village or even engineers, everybody has the same goal. They all really are trying to accomplish the same thing, no matter where they're at working throughout the state. So I think that's pretty nice. It's
Nice.
pretty cool.
Well, thank you for taking time out of your lunch. I know you just got done moderating something and coming down here right away. I really appreciate you coming down today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And on to our next guest. Next up, we have from Gulf Shores, Alabama, the CEO and founder of InfoReach, consultant for FlowPoint, and someone who I have known now for 10, 12 years when she was up here in Illinois running her own construction company. The one, the only Michelle Herod. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Mark? It's a great show.
What number WaterCon is this for you, do you think?
20?
We're up in the 20s
I
now?
think we might be hitting the 20s.
Nice. So, obviously, as with InfoReach, you're working with business development, social media. You're working across the water and wastewater industry, growing businesses. So, as we talk, I really want to focus on that business growth and seeing some of these small companies as how they're growing. And starting off, what opportunities do you see for anybody in small business, entrepreneurs in the water industry?
Sure. Well, probably like most people, I didn't plan to be in this industry. I have a degree in computer science. I had visions of working downtown Chicago, doing business to business, I don't know, selling software, Lord only knows. But ended up getting a job selling fire hydrants and just found that this is an industry so accepting of anybody, and there's this passion to help develop others. And I got the bug of that and just wanted to continue that passion and do that through mentorship with my new company and focus on businesses or even people that have 20 years of experience that have never owned a business before, and they just need a little bit of help starting something up. They've maybe got a great idea. They just don't know how to get it going. So that kind of mentorship, that passion is really what drives me these days.
Well, and you see in our industry, as you walk up and down the exhibit hall, there are companies that it was an operator who had a great idea. Somebody who was, working on a hydrant for 20 years, and they said, there's got to be a better way. And there's so many of those things in this field that happen like that.
Right.
I mean, I saw, as I look over this way, we see things for pipe conditioning. I see hydrants this way. It's impressive to see how many different companies are here with maybe one or two products.
Well, and it's like they say, like, necessity is the mother of invention, right? And you can have a great idea and just not really know how to execute it. And that may be the make or break, but it is so cool to see, honestly, operators and engineers and just people in the field, even people who've sold product their whole life, come up with a great idea and find a need in the industry and just kind of run with it. And I think technology is obviously a big focus of what I've always done in my career, and to see how technology is assisting in that process is really fun to see too. So
Absolutely. And so talking to your husband, who's also at the show yesterday, talking about challenges in the industry, one thing that I think you've seen is workforce or the lack thereof. Talk about some of the challenges on the construction side and the implementation side that you're seeing with, what's going on with the workforce out there.
yeah. So this has been a challenge for a while, and we're starting to see more and more people retire out, and we're just still, decades later, not doing the best job that we could to encourage and market ourselves as an industry to the new generation. And I was going to come here and I was going to talk a lot about that, but I thought about it and I said, this is all kind of part of the responsibility that we have in our generation now as mentors. And now with the younger people that are present, they're just more adaptive with technology. And frankly, like, some of the older folks were more resistant to it. So I actually think that right now we're in this perfect storm opportunity where you have younger people that are more excited and just frankly accustomed to using technology, but then you've got the older people that just have the knowledge, just that core critical school of hard knocks type knowledge.
That's institutional knowledge that we talk about.
Institutional knowledge, and now it's like, boom, you can get these two together, utilize the tech that's out there with the real world just validity and just real world kind of grounding people in, like, yeah, your computer says this, but this is the real world. And I just think it's such an opportunity that we're at in this day to really build on that.
We're primed. We're primed for a takeoff. And you used the word a few times already, but how do you anticipate innovation shaping this industry in the next 5 to 10 years? I mean, yesterday we learned about AI. Walking around the exhibit hall, it's all about innovation. This is like the core of innovation in our industry. How do you see it just going forward?
Yeah. I always kind of think when I used to sell fire hydrants, like, how could you make a fire hydrant better? Like, it dispenses water, right?
Yeah.
I had this conversation even earlier today. What's the new step for bulk water dispensing stations? What other ways are you going to take payment methods, right? But we keep coming up with things like RFID, smartphones, tap to pay. I think just being open to different technology. We're working with a company right now where the founders were actually not even in this industry. And you'd think that would be a detriment, but really it's a benefit because they're bringing solutions that have been present in other industries and they're bringing it to ours.
Yeah, we didn't even know about those solutions.
Sometimes we kind of have like blinders on, right? Like, we've been doing it this way forever. But just even that kind of refreshing perspective from people that have been in so far reaching industries that have nothing to do, they're not even adjacent to ours. And just getting them to say, well, why do you do it that way? Why don't you do it this way? I think that is innovation. Like, that's opportunity is merging different industries together to come up with the best solutions out there.
Bringing those other industries into ours, they usually have eyes wide open because they don't never see anything like this, and they're helping us solve problems that we didn't even know we had. Mm-hmm. So, this obviously we talked. This is your maybe 20th WaterCon. You've been here since the second year in Peoria. We were in Springfield.
Since I was 5.
Yeah, since you were 5. But walking around the exhibit hall today, and what's something that you saw that really has made you proud to be part of this industry?
Hands down, and I keep kind of going back to mentorship because I feel like in this stage of my life, that is my responsibility. This industry, when I started 20 years ago, was such a giving and gracious industry. Everybody was trying to help me. They'd go out of their way, like, hey, I talked to this person for you. And that is why I'm still in this industry today. And that is why I make it my mission to tell everybody to get into the water industry, because you'll never find a better group of people that want to see you succeed.
Right.
So today for me, it's about passing that on. It's about mentoring, and I see it here. I had so many conversations with folks that I've known for a long time that are kind of starting to sunset a little bit. They're making their plans for the next adventure in their life, and they're bringing the young people to the show, and they're taking them around, and they're letting them engage and go to classes and come around to the exhibit hall and go to the social events. And I am really happy to see that, because that to me is the bringing up the next generation. Kind of stepping aside a little bit, letting them come forward, letting them come to the show, giving them a little bit of rope, I guess. But that is what, to me, mentorship, innovation kind of all means with our industry. We gotta use our industry knowledge to train and guide, and also be open to the different emerging technologies out there that are going to help us be just more nimble, make better real-time decisions than we ever have been able to do before.
Well, thank you so much for joining today. We really appreciate
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And on to our next guest.
All right.
All right, next guest in the hot seat is Ryan Rivard from the village of Schaumburg. He is the superintendent of utility services. Just recently graduated out of the YP committee, but just moved to Schaumburg in a new role. How do you like it?
It's been fantastic so far, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we really appreciate this. You know, a common question that we're asking all of our guests today is, what opportunities do you see over the next few years in the water industry, for whether it be a YP, an XP, or anyone who's in this industry, that we really have some great opportunities? What do you see?
You know what? I'm going to go a little bit off, a little technological on this one. I see IT being such a huge component now with water than it's ever been before.
Right.
I'm seeing that, the ChatGPTs of the world, or the AI and the advancements that are making just daily. I'm really seeing positive impacts that, if you use it as a tool and as such, you can have so many impacts. So I'm seeing a lot of, IT people with good technological backgrounds really starting to, phase into the water world, and it's really cool to see.
Have you started implementing any ChatGPT? Have you started using any of that?
So some of our engineering firms that we work with have been using ChatGPT. ChatGPT, and they've been using IT and different versions of AI to help assessments. So if it's sewer assessments, if it's water assessments, there's so much more than I've ever seen, within this industry. And looking back for decades, just talking to people, when you're here in shows like this, just to have the networking and be able to talk to people and see what's out there, it really it shows exactly where we're at right now and what is coming in the future. And it's amazing.
Now, obviously, you're in the daily grind. You manage you manage a community water supply. You have a staff underneath you. You're dealing with the regulatory agencies. What are some of the challenges that you're seeing coming across, and that you anticipate that you'll have to overcome in the next few years?
There's been a lot of changes with regulatory agencies in the last few years that we've been seeing. I think that just goes, industry-wide, and it just, the staff time, the input, having to work with a multitude of different engineering firms to try to get the information that's needed, that's being requested, which is fine, and we're happy to give that information. It just, sometimes it can be very labor intensive to try to get all this information. That's something that I've definitely seen industry-wide here.
Absolutely, and you can really tell that the amount of people coming, and I have a view down to the IEPA booth from where I'm sitting, and there's a line, which is good. It's good that people are there talking, asking the questions, and seeing what they can do to collaborate with the IEPA. It's not an enemy. It's there for collaboration. What do you see? We talk about innovation. Yesterday we learned a lot about AI at the keynote opening speech, but what do you see like innovation shaping this industry, and how do you see new technology coming through and making your life as a superintendent easier?
Oh, that's a good question there, Mark. There's so many new advancements that are happening just rapidly throughout the last, just few years that, different firms have come to me or different agencies that, hey, we have these different, options now that we can do better assessments. We can make them faster, quicker. We can get you information, spot on to the date. Any of these things that are just fantastic.
I mean, I know you're working a lot right now. We talk about water meters. The advancements in water meters is from where we were 10 years ago. It is crazy. You see some of the new, automatic meter reading. Back in the day when you were Village of Schaumburg, what's your population?
So 78,000.
That would have taken somebody almost a month probably to read the meters.
For sure, going
now you're
individual homes, absolutely.
Now you're probably less than 10 minutes, or as you go to AMR, it's going to be instantaneous, which is something that you've never had in the past.
Yes. It's definitely come a huge way. When I was in Rolling Meadows, started off, hitting the beat, walking to each house, checking meters, weeks at a time. And then to see the advancements of, you start to do the drive-by unit, then you put an AMI or an AMR unit on. Now you have the cellular service. Even Amazon's getting in on certain things of this
right.
that, to jump on certain Wi-Fi's or cellular to be able to extract that data.
Nice. So you've been here 2 days. What number WaterCon is this for you?
3 or 4.
All right. What's something that you have seen walking around, the experience, that's really made you proud to be a part of this water industry?
It's the people you meet and the networking you start doing when you come to these things, that it's such a vast network to get to know the people, get to see what they have, build those relations, build that trust, see what's out there, what new technology is coming. It's just, all in all, this is a fantastic place to really get some good roots when you're starting to look at the industry as a whole, and then just building those relationships. We just had a Jawa leak. I'm sure that many people know, a 90-inch transmission main had a water leak. And just to get to know what's going on, know the communities that you're working with, know the regulatory agencies, being able to have, open lines of communication, and then come here to actually see them, kind of do a recap of what happened, what's going on with them. It's putting a face to the name. It's worth its weight in gold.
Awesome. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day today, coming and joining the podcast. Thank you so much. And on to our next guest.
Thanks, Mark.
Our next guest on the podcast today, from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, he's been there 4 years as now the lead and copper coordinator, Adam Nutt. How are you doing today, Adam?
I'm doing very well. How about you, Mark?
Good. It's been an experience. I appreciate it. So tell us how you came to join the IEPA, and how did you land in this world of lead and copper?
So originally, I was just studying biology at the University of Illinois Springfield. I graduated in December of 2019. We all know what happened right after that.
Right.
And so during the COVID times, I was just sending applications pretty much anywhere. The state picked me up for the compliance assurance section, and then I originally joined in the operator certification unit.
Okay.
So right off the bat, I was doing course ID approvals and just operator training stuff, and then our old guard, pretty much J-Tim, they all retired at the same time, which left an open lead and copper team.
Yeah.
And so I saw an opening. I just said, what can I do to help? And that's whenever they handed the whole lead and copper program to me, let me know that in about 3 months after that, we were going to have the lead and copper rule revisions hit, and said, hey,
good luck.
You're the guy now. Go ahead and sort this out.
I like how you said, I'm here to help. Well, if you want to ask for help, here, have it all.
Yeah.
So, as we're talking about, we're here at WaterCon. Everybody's doing a ton of education. Can you give us an update where lead and copper regulations right now in Illinois are, and what should community water supplies be focusing on?
So right now, the main focus is still identification. We have a lot of water supplies that have done very good with the identification, but we still have unknowns. So I'd say step one is just finding the lead if it's in there. And then after that, we'd move to the plan for replacing it, which that can vary, getting the cost, the planning for whenever mandatory replacement does start
right.
is the next steps.
And there's always challenges facing you, facing engineering firms, facing community water supplies. With the US EPA filing the LCRI, and how important is it that we understand what the impacts to you and us both are?
So with the LCRI, the feds coming out with that rule, the one thing that I've heard a lot frequently is that we're moving the goalposts. For a long, long time, there was the Lead Service Line Replacement Notification Act, which set the replacement rates by the number of identified service lines. That's what we had been telling people for years. That's what was coming. And then all of a sudden, the goalpost got moved on both the Illinois EPA and the water supplies to, well, it's not going to be based off the identified service lines. It's a flat 10% for everyone.
Right.
And so that challenge really, we weren't really ready to explain how the system should handle that. We weren't set up for the technical assistance that requires. And so it's just been a complete shift now to, well, we have to prepare all of our permitting process, all of our compliance processes for seeing how we can help water supplies reach a very lofty goal of 10% replacement every year, starting in 2027.
I appreciate you using the word help, because you guys do want to help.
Yes.
And so here at WaterCon, what are some opportunities you see that as you walk around, we see there's opportunities for the water industry. What are some of those opportunities that you see for coordination with the IEPA? Obviously, there's always been a stigma of IEPA regulatory, we're operators, but how can you guys work together?
So, the one thing that since I've started that I've seen is engineering groups, consulting groups, we want to open the dialogue with everyone. We want people to ask us, hey, what are these new regulations coming out with? What can I do to help the water systems that I work with to make sure that they can provide inventories or whatever it may be to stay in compliance? And I think that's the biggest thing, is just trying to network with all of the different groups that provide assistance to make sure that the information that we're providing to the water supplies can flow across everybody as evenly as possible.
Well, that's really good to hear. So you've walked around, I've seen you walking up and down the aisles. What's something that you've seen that's made you proud of being part of the water industry?
Whenever water operators come up and talk to me and they ask questions and get interested in the regulations and how they can help their community, I like to see the engagement. I like to see whenever, they tell me, hey, I've got everything identified. I'm working on getting the lead out. I'm the lead and copper guy. That's my main focus. So
right.
I like to see whenever they're working with us, because it's not always like that. I'm in a position where I don't always make a lot of friends in the water operator community, and so I love to see it whenever they're happy to see it.
Awesome. What are some key messages for our listeners from you and the IEPA today?
I'm just going to push for inventories. The big thing is, please, if you know somebody or are part of a water supply that has unknowns left on the inventory, those should be the biggest focus. If we get to 2027 and there's unknowns left, they count as lead, and they may very well likely not be lead. And so it should really be a focus to get as many of those cleared out before those unknowns artificially drive up whatever sort of replacement rate comes later on down the line.
Awesome. Thank you for taking time out of your day. I know you're away from the office today and you're here at WaterCon, so I really want to thank you for joining us on the podcast today.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
On to our next guest. All right, our last guest on today's Live from WaterCon episode is an 18-year engineering veteran. She is the director of the AWWA director for the Illinois section of the American Water Works Association. And I am proud to say she is my executive producer for all the podcasts. And so the backstory on this guest is, as we were coming up with our lists of guests who we're going to talk to in our Live from WaterCon episode, she kept saying, we'll save a spot at the end for the Fuller Award winner. And for those of you who don't know, the Fuller Award is really the highest award anyone in the Illinois section or anybody in AWA can win in their representative sections. And, Sunday we found out as a staff, and yesterday, Monday, at the opening ceremonies, our own Carolyn Greaves was awarded the Fuller Award. So first of all, Carolyn, congratulations, thank you for sitting here. I know this is
a little surreal still, yeah.
What does it mean 24 hours later to hear Carolyn Greaves Fuller Award winner?
Yeah, I would say it's still a little bit of shock. But I'm extremely honored and humbled by this experience. You see all of the people that you have looked up to your whole career as Fuller Award winners, and you never ever truly think that's something that's in your future, and never would have expected anything like this. So very, very humbled and appreciative, and have to say, Baxter and Woodman folks who kept this secret from me, I'll never play poker with them. They obviously know how to keep a good secret, and I appreciate all of their efforts. And I know there were some behind the scenes efforts to surprise me yesterday.
And it really, and I think that's what the best part of the Fuller Award is. Not
love
only
that
is
part.
it's a great recognition,
Yeah.
but you don't know until they're reading your bio.
No.
And
no.
they let it off strong with you telling a story of how you stopped a tour bus to take a picture of a fire hydrant.
Elevated tanks, water towers in India.
Okay, so
Yes.
I've never heard the story, so I need to hear a little bit of the story.
Yes. So I was invited to speak at a conference in India 5 years ago in 2020, and before that conference, I did a tour throughout some parts of the country just to get to know the culture a little bit. And I noticed the water towers were a shape I have never seen before. I was like amazed. And so I was taking photos, and then our tour bus was saying, "What are you doing, Carolyn?" So of course I had to explain, and I was prepping for the water conference. By the end of that week, everyone was spotting towers. We were all looking for them and trying to find ones that were different. And then if there was a really good one, the tour bus would stop so we could jump out and get
That's
some
awesome.
photos.
That is
So,
awesome.
Yes.
So since you're a guest on the WaterCon podcast,
Yes.
talk about opportunities and challenges.
Yes.
What's an opportunity you see for someone coming into the water industry and some opportunities that we're going to have in the next 5 years?
I think the opportunities are infinite in the water industry. And I've said it during, I think I said it during my speech yesterday, that this is the best industry that there is. There's such a diversity of need and roles and types of jobs that you can have in this industry, whether you have a college education, whether you need to start working right out of school, whether you like having your hands on a wrench and moving things and fixing things, people who don't want to sit at a desk all day. There's so many different places that you can be in this industry. And there are a lot of people retiring from this industry too. I can see that horizon out there. And it's exciting, but it's more exciting to see all of the young professionals and people who are joining this industry who are just going to make it even better and stronger.
And we see the opportunities, but also there's always challenges, whether it be hiring people or it's, figuring out new regulations. What are the challenges that you see that are coming in the pipeline in the next couple of years?
I think a little bit of the challenges are public perception of the water industry, and it's something we're always trying to improve upon. We've spent our entire careers, spent my entire career saying, if we're not talking about it, it must be good news. But we've been flipping that conversation over the past 5 years, and we're being more vocal about it. So students are learning more about this industry. Kids are telling their parents to stop running water.
Right.
So we're seeing a lot more education happening. So while there's been a challenge that is maybe people aren't aware of it, there's so many people that have no idea what happens when you turn on a tap or flush a toilet handle. They just don't know. They take it for granted because we've been so lucky we've been able to take it for granted.
Right.
But I think this education that we've been doing is going to really help turn that challenge around, and we're going to really highlight, again, what an amazing industry this is for more people.
It really is. And what year for you is this at WaterCon?
I've been doing this, again, as executive producer, I should have checked your cards.
I know.
I've been doing this for 25 years.
So this is your 25th WaterCon?
Yeah, give or take. Yeah.
This is impressive to see what we have here this year. What's something that you've seen walking around this exhibit hall through the education that's made you proud to be part of this industry?
The thing that makes me the most proud is the engagement that I'm seeing of people connecting with each other. And while we are a water industry, and I love that part of who we are, we're water people at our hearts, this industry is about people. And it's seeing people talk with each other, seeing people help each other, seeing people give each other guidance, going to the young professional panel today and hearing how people giving each other coaching ideas and lessons learned. This is what makes me so proud. This is why I love WaterCon. I love the energy. I love when you walk into the exhibit hall and you can just feel the energy. And you can see people who are longtime friends, people who've just met each other, people that maybe don't normally ever get a chance to have a conversation together, but here they get to connect and learn.
And the best part is you haven't been able to hear any of the other interviews from today.
I can't wait to hear them.
And that has been the overall theme of every answer. Is
awesome.
the community, whether it's we're talking about being a family or helping each other, or being part of just people helping people. And it's really been an amazing thing for me to hear that so many people are in this industry because of the people.
Yes, absolutely.
So thank you for coming on. I know it was getting hard to get you over here, but once again, from the bottom of my heart and all of our hearts at Baxter, congratulations on your Fuller Award.
Thank you, Mark.
No one more deserving than I know.
Thank you, Mark.
For our entire team here at Baxter and Woodman, this has been our Live at WaterCon episode. We're glad you stuck through and listened to the whole thing. Let's see what's on the menu next.